Recording in progress.
Thank you. Okay, we'll get our meeting started for West Haven City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 7th of 2023. It's about 6:05, so we're just running a little bit late, and we're a
Progress.
little bit short on council members right now, but we do have a quorum. So we want to excuse Councilmember Schwab today. He is serving his country. And okay, we'll get our meeting started for West Haven City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 7th of 2023. It's about 6:05, so we're just running a little bit late, and we're a
Progress.
little bit short on council members right now, but we do have a quorum. So we want to excuse Councilmember Schwab today. He is serving his country. And okay, we'll get our meeting started for West Haven City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 7th of 2023. It's about 6:05, so we're just running a little bit late, and we're a
Progress.
little bit short on council members right now, but we do have a quorum. So we want to excuse Councilmember Schwab today. He is serving his country. And okay, we'll get our meeting started for West Haven City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 7th of 2023. It's about 6:05, so we're just running a little bit late, and we're a
Progress.
little bit short on council members right now, but we do have a quorum. So we want to excuse Councilmember Schwab today. He is serving his country. And okay, we'll get our meeting started for West Haven City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 7th of 2023. It's about 6:05.
Recording in progress.
Do I need to start over? Does the recording have that first part in? Okay, then. If it has it in 6 or 7 times, we're probably good to go. We're going to move on as we get. Let's see where we're at here on our meeting. So we're going to get started with our opening ceremonies. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be by council member call, and our prayer or moment of silence will be by Council Member Dixon.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our kind Father in heaven, we are so grateful to be here tonight in the capacity of City Council. We are grateful for the many blessings that we have. We're grateful for our city, all those who work for it, and all those who protect it. We're grateful for the country in which we live and ask Thee to bless us as we are going through hard times. We're grateful for the water that came down slowly and the water that we received. Please bless us tonight as we make decisions that we will be able to consider the best decision possible for West Haven. And again, we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, Councilmember Call and Councilmember Dixon. We'll move on to item number 3, public presentation. Residents attending this meeting will be allotted 2 minutes to express a concern or ask a question about any issue that is not on the agenda. No action can or will be taken on any issues presented. Do we have anyone that would like to come forward at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward to item number 4. Our upcoming events that we have coming up is our Senior Lunch Bunch. That'll be on June 28th of 2023 at 11:30 a.m. This will be a catch-up lunch from last time, and we'll be at the sports park this time. So we're looking forward to meeting over there. Our Rodeo Queen contest will be June 13th at 4 o'clock over at the West Haven Kenneth Baldwin Park Arena. We're pretty excited about this. We've got some great contestants that are signed up, and looking forward to some great horsemanship that night. We have our West Haven Days that's scheduled for June 20th and through 24th. We kind of went through the schedule a little bit to understand a little bit more what was on there, but all residents can get on our website and find out what's going on West Haven Days. We've got a lot going that day, that week, I should say. Is there any other upcoming events from the council? Okay, we'll move on to our council updates, item number 5. Do you have any council updates to share with each other?
Just to notify everybody, there's a beautification committee this Monday at 5:30. Love to have anyone that might be interested come join us, and we'll be discussing likely a project just prior to West Haven Days. So,
Okay,
Mayor, I haven't yet reached out to the gentleman who wanted to be on the Historic Preservation Committee. I'm going to try and get to him this week. I have some awesome ideas. Get with him and meet with him and maybe get it going. So that will be happening next week.
okay, thank you. Just to let everyone know, tonight was our final, at 5 o'clock tonight was our final sign up for our council seats that were available. This time we had 3 council seats that are available, so I think we ended up having 6 candidates. Is that correct? Total. So those will be on the website. If you'd like to go to the website and see who those candidates are, you're welcome to do so. Plus our incumbents, I think, that are here tonight. So any other items? Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, action on our consent agenda. This is for our city council minutes, our minutes held on May 17th of 2023. Does the council have any questions or concerns about the minutes that we had then? If not, I'm open for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda A, City Council meeting minutes for May 17th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Saunders.
aye.
Okay, motion carries 3-0.
It's Nina.
Is Nina on?
I think Nina's
Nina, are you there? Okay, we'll just continue with such.
Sorry, yeah, I couldn't unmute myself. Aye.
Okay. 4-0 on our consent agenda. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 7, action on planning commission meeting recommendations. Let's see, item number A was action on ordinance 11-2023 for a rezone from A1 to R 2.5 at 3580 South, 2700 West for Mr. Chad Evans. Mr. Chad Evans here. Come on up and state your name and address again for the record, please.
Chad Evans, 3580 South, 2700 West.
Okay. And Sherry, did you have something you wanted to share too, or is there anything?
I was not at the last council meeting, but yeah, I know. But I was gonna say I don't think he was either. So I believe you guys have already been given all the background and like this property as it relates to the redesign or connection of 3300 down to 3600. You guys were given all that information previously, correct?
Correct.
Okay, then I don't have anything to say.
Perfect. I'm going to ask our city manager a question on this one, just for clarification. Does this interfere at all with our 33-36 corridor area that we have coming through there?
This property will be impacted by that. We've had actually discussions. He's come in and talked with us about that, and where the rezone doesn't have a real impact on it, he's well aware of what we're looking at, and we'll be actually be in conversations with him a little bit later this summer on that corner that will be impacted. So he's well aware of that.
I just wanted to make that clear because I know we have plans, but we haven't got them finalized yet. So,
Right.
Did you have any questions about that at all?
I don't think so, not at this point. That's
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Does the council have any questions for Mr. Evans? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll move to approve action on ordinance 11-2023 rezone from A1 to R 2.5 at 3580 South, 2700 West. Chad Evans.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's have a roll call. Let's
We
do
need to do a roll call on this one.
Yeah.
I apologize. We're gonna do a roll call on this. Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. You're all set. Okay, we'll move on to item B, action on ordinance for 12-2023, amending the standards for sign regulation. I think we had a pretty good sized packet to review, but had some updates on that. Do you have anything else, Sherry, you wanted to add on that?
No, I appreciate that that you all had an opportunity to look at this beforehand. I know sometimes on these longer ordinances,
Is your mic on? I can't hear you very
it says it is.
Okay.
The green light is. Sorry, my voice is kind of scratchy. I'll try and talk a little bit louder. So I don't really have anything specific to say. The genesis of this was, just to give you a little bit of context on why we looked at this, is there was some confusion and some ambiguity on whether or not pole signs are allowed anywhere in the city. And as some projects come in, particularly those that are larger scale projects that the city is potentially looking to attract in the area of like 2100 South, 1900 West, to a certain extent in the area on 4000, just as you come off of Midland, things like that. Those are going to be the type of larger scale businesses that typically have pole signs. So that was the genesis of it, and that's the reasoning behind a lot of the changes. The Planning Commission did opt to make some other changes. There were some questions that came up related to billboards and that types of signage. And so they did make some changes regarding that. I know that Councilmember Saunders, he gave some really invaluable input to the Planning Commission. I had him come speak to them at the beginning of it, sort of as an expert witness, for lack of a better term. Not everything that he presented to them is in here, so I do believe that he has some additional things he would like us to address in the ordinance, and I felt it would be appropriate for him to bring those up with the city council. So that's just a little bit more of the context and the process behind why we went through this.
Okay, thank you.
So I should probably, mention to the public that I am a member of the sign industry, and it could be seen as an apparent conflict, but I don't believe that there is an actual conflict with me voting on this ordinance. So I do have some comments. Some of them are completely unrelated to our industry, and then a few items that may have inadvertently affect our industry, depending on how the ordinance is interpreted as it is being presented. So I do have some things that I wanted to bring up to the council and just get thoughts and kind of some feedback. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that I am in the industry. And so
Okay, did you want to go over, does any of the council members want to start first with any questions or concerns they may have?
Mayor, can I present a couple different options for how to approach this?
You may.
So there can be a couple things, like if you want, I can have Councilmember Saunders send all his specific requested changes to me. And then, because I didn't imagine that this would be adopted on the first view, we can, the mayor could ask him to send those to me, and I could incorporate those specific things into the draft for next time to give the council some context on them.
Is there quite a few? Do you have quite a few of them?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's look here real quick. I'll try to give you an idea.
I basically just had a couple of things that look like they may have just been, spelling errors or some things in there, but I'm just freestanding polls on there throughout instead of just a poll or freestanding. They should probably just be a little more uniform probably in there.
Okay.
Was all, and that was in 157.759J. And
I can do that. Just pick one reference and call them just one thing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I mean, it just seemed like it might be a little bit
Yeah.
better to do it than just to have poll or
Yeah.
just seemed kind of different. And then the other one was just in 157.760A, and it was just to make sure it just says require on there. It probably needs to have requires on there, but that just minor things.
Which section was that?
That
in?
was in 157.760A.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's not wrong if spell check or grammar check doesn't catch it, right?
So there's about 13 items.
Okay. Did you have anything?
And I don't know that
Councilmember
they would
Dixon?
take that long. Some of them are not big
Paul,
deals.
did you have a few that you needed to add in, or do you want to send them as well?
No, I just wrote a couple things down about the pole signs.
Okay.
That they're to be located east of the canal on 3200.
On
Right.
what?
On 4000, they
Right.
need to be east of the canal.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of sign does the nursery have? Is that a pole sign?
I think it is.
I would have to look. I've never paid attention, even though I drive in front of it
Oh,
every
he has
day.
he has a sign and he
Hey,
puts it-
Carrie,
Yeah.
I would say that according to the definitions in this ordinance, it's the marquee because it's a changeable sign.
Okay.
That was the right one. It's a little bright.
Okay. I was just thinking about, I mean, those businesses that are coming, the church is going to be built. They're building a church just off of the gas station. Like, what kind of sign are they going to want?
Right.
They'll be limited, I guess. I understand we're going to keep country this way and move to the east, have tall
Right.
signs. So I just want to make sure that what we currently had wasn't left out. Yes.
They would
Um,
probably be, I
Hmm?
mean, they'd still be allowed to have what they have, right?
Could you say that one more time?
They would still be allowed to have what they have, even if.
Yeah. And that's actually
Have
the
to state
question that
that.
I was addressing with Mr. Green before the meeting started. He saw this on the agenda and wanted to make sure that their sign wasn't going to be affected. If anybody has a sign right now that was, properly permitted or, predates the city incorporating things like that, it's going to be able to continue. This can't be made retroactive.
Right.
If there was an issue of somebody building a sign illegally, then that would be a different situation. But anything that exists right now
Be
that
legal,
is
not
legal and was
conforming.
properly permitted, it would be allowed to continue.
Did you have some more? Others?
What do we consider the signs in front of neighborhoods, like the big rock ones that name your neighborhood? What are those considered?
Like the ones at Windsor? Is that?
Yeah, like what type of sign is that?
Typically, neighborhood entrance signs are considered monument signs. Not always, but typically.
Well, that's what I thought, because it says monument signs are permitted for any non-residential lot. And I thought those would be residential.
I wonder if that area is not part of, I mean, it could be part of the residential lot, or it could be a open space area that they could put something like that. I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, I think they're great. We should have them. I just want to make sure that it's
Yeah.
within what it says. That's all. If the next neighborhood wants to put one up,
Right now, they're not permitted in residential zones. We can add allowing them. That they're allowed in residential zones and maybe have a qualifier on it only if they're used as subdivision entrance. That way you keep, like, you allow neighborhoods to identify themselves, but keep it limited to that and not make them too
right?
intrusive.
I agree with that. I just want to make sure that they're still allowed to do that according to this.
If
so.
you wanted, I can make that addition.
Okay. And the way that I also read this is that signs are allowed in the public right of way as long as they're less than 3 feet. Correct?
The way you read what?
Signs can be in the public right of way as long as they're no taller than 36 inches.
So Carrie, what page
Correct.
are you on? Where are you at?
I don't know. There's too many. 157,759.
Okay.
C6.
C6?
Yeah.
Okay, let me look.
There's a lot of numbers and letters in this ordinance.
Yeah.
Speaking to that, when would a sign be allowed in the public right of way?
People will frequently put like real estate signs and things like that out in a park strip. Some cities have a blanket prohibition. You can't have it anywhere in the right of way.
We talked about this last time and wanted to make
Right
sure.
now, the provision is there to allow it, and we didn't look at that. There are some cities that, because, I mean, right below that, you see a prohibition against placing a sign on public property, and the right-of-way is public property. So those do seem to contradict each other a little bit. But there are occasions when, not campaign signs, real estate signs or something related to a city event or something like that will get put in the right of way out in front of somebody's house or something like that. So
We talked about this last time we updated this and wanted that to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure that you can put them there, just not taller.
that you can do it. So you do want to leave it there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was just a safety issue is all.
Yeah.
Not too tall to see over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the reason for a 3-foot cap on it.
Any others?
The only thing about that I wonder is, could somebody construe that as anywhere in the public right of way?
Could somebody what?
Could somebody construe that as they're allowed to do that anywhere in the public right of way? Like, what if they're putting it in a roadway?
Well, there is the
Or
thing in
somewhere
section
where it
8.
prohibits it in the roadway?
There is the thing 2 paragraphs below that says, no sign shall be placed, built, or located, nor shall any sign exist in a manner which creates a nuisance, safety hazard, or unsafe condition.
There you go.
Right.
So we have that in place so that if Dan, or goes out and looks at it and it causes a sightline issue or some other sort of hazard, he can remove it.
Okay, well, if it's a recommendation, are you okay, Councilmember Saunders, to just send those recommendations over?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we'll just review it one more round, hopefully, and we'll
Yeah.
have it knocked out. We good with that? Okay, I'll take a motion on this to table.
I'll make a motion to table ordinance 12-2023, amending the standards for sign regulation.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Call,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 4-0, so thank you on that. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on here. This is for item C, action on ordinance 13-2023, amending the standards for mixed use, medium, low density residential, commercial zone.
I think you're all well familiar with the background of why we're looking at this. I want to commend the Planning Commission for some of the things that they put into place. I think they did a lot, and it goes a long way towards making sure that if we're going to allow this type of project, that there has to be a concrete benefit to the city, that someone can't count the green space between townhomes or apartment buildings as open space and receive a mixed use allowance for it, that they can't count non-public pools or pickleball courts or, internal gyms or something like that. I think this goes a long way and does a lot to make sure that the city is getting a tangible benefit, that the residents are getting a benefit if we're going to allow this kind of project.
I had a couple minor things. In the very first paragraph on here in 157-310 in A,
Mm-hmm.
Great that everything's listed out. It's listed the way you've got it set up on there, though. It's listed out as open space starting first, and it's third on the list. It's not a big deal, but maybe just put them in the order as they come down, just so that we can. It just seems like it would flow a little bit better. And then, can you explain to me? I just didn't know what plazas are. What's considered a plaza? What are the
area around a splash pad, like it's just a concrete area. Sometimes you'll see splash pads. Sometimes people will have just like a concrete sidewalk around, and then they'll have like a playground or something like that in the middle. It's just a open public gathering area that's not grass.
Is that a good description for everybody on that one? I just wanted to be clear on that because I didn't understand what a plaza was, and I don't know.
Do we
So
need
is
to
that
include the definition? Oh, sorry.
Where does the plaza come in? Under what?
It's on the very first page on
Okay, so that's
the definition. Under open space, and it's item I2.
So it's considered part of open space. Okay.
Just to go to Councilmember Dixon's question really quickly, if it would, I guess, bring an additional level of comfort and clarity, we can add definitions for plaza, courtyard, trails, parks.
I think that would be a really good idea.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to bring up is like under the cultural, institutional things, without defining what is meant in each of these groups. I can see where a developer could take advantage of some of these, even with the additions that we have. And maybe I'm missing something, but like, for example, an arts facility, could a developer come in and say, we have in our apartment area a dedicated room as you walk in that has art in it. I mean, without defining what's going to qualify as that, I think
I can definitely add definitions for all those uses.
Because we've seen a lot of these come, and they've got, that's our weight room, and it's hard to tell how big it is, and is it, you know, an area that two people can go in and lift weights, or, you know, sometimes it's a
Yeah.
little tough for us, you know,
Yeah.
without definitions and without kind of lining it out to know whether those items are kind of being taken advantage of.
We've had that before where we disagreed on definitions, so I think that's a really good idea. Where we say one thing and then they say, no, that this is what that means.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I can add definitions for all those things.
That was really my main comment.
One thing that's not in here that I wanted to address with you all is I know there's been sort of an informal statement, and this is a little bit reflected in the conversation we had during the work session. I know there's been kind of an informal statement about not having any new mixed use areas west of 1900 West. That's not reflected in there. I didn't know if that was still the position of the council, if it's something that we want to codify, if it's something that wants to be further discussed, if we want to set additional boundaries on it. Right now, this does set boundaries for the different densities and limits them to certain areas, but I didn't know if the council still wants to make a strong, like to actually codify that policy that there won't be any new mixed use zones, whether it's blanket west of 1900 or like north of 3600 west of 1900, if we wanted to set boundaries on areas in the city where no more mixed use, period, regardless of what the density is. So I think that's
Okay, that's a great question. And
Yeah.
I think we probably should decide or get an idea of what we want to do on that. Thoughts from the council on that?
Would that be kind of a work session type discussion? I'm not
No.
sure. I can see maybe the benefit of that, and then also, I mean, I don't know, see where there might be situations where we would need to make an exception for that if it's
I could
So-
present you with some different options on where to limit where existing ones are. Because like I said, while this draft does set boundaries for the higher densities, like anything above 9 units an acre, there's a range from 4 units an acre to just under 9 units an acre, where it says any other projects that aren't put in something else's boundary. But I know how the council feels about like continually creating mixed use projects, and I want to make sure that if you don't want to do any more, that it goes in here so that we have an enforcement mechanism for that policy decision.
So let's say we do that, but someone comes in with something that would fit really nicely. We could do an MDA and
No, you would need to do an ordinance amendment, because if the MDA says MDAs can't be used to circumvent zoning.
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. So if somebody came in and had something that you wanted to consider, you would need to do an ordinance amendment.
An ordinance for the development.
No, an ordinance. If you set a boundary that says, say the council decides that no more mixed use west of 1900, period, and somebody comes in as the city continues to grow with a mixed use project that is west of 1900, you cannot use an MDA to allow that project.
Okay.
You would first have to go and open up the mixed
Have to
use
amend the
ordinance,
Okay.
because MDAs can't be used to circumvent zoning.
That was my question. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Just from, is there a reason why they wanted to take the low density out as a component for possible mixed use?
That was actually a suggestion of mine. I believe that the purpose of mixed use ordinances, and when I walked this through them, they understood that. It seems like the purpose of why we've had mixed use in the city previously is things like townhomes and apartments and smaller lots. And the way this is written, if you were to allow 0 to 4 units an acre it's a traditional subdivision, because 4 units an acre is still lots that are over 10,000 square feet per lot. And I don't think from a planning perspective, I don't know that mixed use makes sense if you're down that low density.
Well, I think when it started and when we were, had from the very beginning, it was to create benefit to the city. If they were going to do a development, they gave benefit to the city. So we were getting trails, we were getting, recreation components or a building or, something from that development. And then it did go down to, that 5, I think it was a 5 or something like that, close to, right around there.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, that's where it kind of took a bad turn in some ways, because we had people coming in doing developments and putting residential in, but not following through with some of the items, or there was a misunderstanding of what that component was,
Right.
we didn't have it clear. So I think that's why, even though we went through and reviewed the map and tried to find places where mixed use would make sense throughout, and those areas were assigned with that component on the map, but it's kind of changed now. We've grown a lot in those areas. We've got a lot of density throughout the city, and I think that I'm still a little bit more of a fan on making sure that we probably keep that density up higher, or to areas when we do the general plan, if we end up putting areas in that's going to create a boulevard type situation where we've got traffic moving through certain areas, that might make better sense, that we can definitely look at those types of areas as we see growth in the city.
Right.
But it's got to be planned and controlled growth. Not, I'm concerned about, even with the mixed use developments that come in that we have access to, even through the county, as we're looking at some other options. We don't want to see a lot of high density in some areas where we've got really good ag going on and we have ag protection property. So
Right.
I would probably just, that would be just my recommendation as the mayor towards the council, to just look at that as, I think it was a good move at the time. We may want to change it in the future, but I think having mixed use above or anywhere below 1900 does create a little bit of an issue for us. Ordinance was there to make it a little more clear, because we've had some problems with it, right?
Yeah.
And they've done a good job at that. I just want to see, with the development we're going to probably have around the 21st Street area, great place for this. I mean, I think this is going to be a great area for that, and to have that. I think below our city, we're probably getting pretty full on some of the higher density areas. So that's just my recommendation. So
Yeah.
so I'd share it. Any other questions?
I
can-
think I agree. I would be in favor of leaving it east of 1900.
I can definitely come back for the next meeting with definitions on all those uses.
And I don't know how the planning commission feels about it, but I think if they understood, if some of the council wanted to, I'm not sure what the other council members are thinking at this point, but
Yeah. I think that I had discussions with individual commissioners about sort of drawing a hard line at 1900 and not allowing anything west of that. And I think they understood that. I just didn't include it in the draft because I knew that was more of a policy decision of the council. So
What do you think of that, Kim? So would you like the next draft to have that written in there as well?
let's see if we have 3 of the council members that are interested in it.
Okay.
I think I'd be in favor of that.
You're okay with that? Councilmember Morse, do you want to weigh in on this? Okay. Well, I think we have our 3.
I'll include it in the next draft, and then it can be discussed. If the council votes to take it out, we'll take it out. But I'll include it.
Sorry, I can't unmute fast enough. Yeah, I agree with keeping the mixed use or codifying it so that the mixed use is 1900 and east.
Okay, thank you. All right, yeah, let's see what we can come up with on that,
Okay.
and that'll help with the policy
For
on
sure.
that. Was there anything else, or should we ready to move on? Do you want to table this and we'll take a motion for that?
Well, I talked to Sherry just a little bit under 157.3.2, the mixed use rezone. Sherry's already working on the rezone ordinance.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Sherry told me she's already working on the rezone ordinance to
Right.
give to the planning
Oh.
commission. So
Do you want me to address that?
sure, I just in looking at what's here, kind of contradicts what's in the rezone ordinance, and so when that's changed, then this will.
So the rezone process ordinance is another one that hasn't been amended since the city incorporated and adopted its first zoning ordinance. There are some things in the rezone ordinance that by various changes in state law cities are not allowed to consider in deciding whether or not to rezone a property. And so just to kind of give you a method to a little bit of my madness, the planning commission is looking at the first draft of an updated subdivision ordinance during a work session on Wednesday. I didn't add anything else to that work session because it's going to be a bigger discussion that's going to take the whole time. They are going to have a work session again at their meeting on the 28th, and where we will probably discuss the subdivision ordinance again. But that'll be a much shorter discussion. And so in that meeting too, I'm going to bring them a first look at an update to how we handle rezones, because there are some things that the state has mandated that haven't been brought into code. And so there's just sort of an order of operations. The subdivision one, we have a state mandated deadline to fix. And so that's why that one came first. But the rezone ordinance is right on its heels. And so they're going to look at that in a work session on the 28th.
Yeah, that's something we need to get caught up on a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready for a motion. Item C.
Before we do that, what I brought up in the work meeting about having to have two types of housing in this ordinance, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that, because it's great to have townhouses and single family homes, or they can say, oh, well, I'm going to do apartments and townhomes. Do you know what I mean by that? So I don't know how everybody else feels about that, because it's a menu here, so they could choose what they wanted.
So
if that makes sense. So
you would think taking that out then. So
I don't know. I understand the two options because you want to have it be
diverse. Yeah.
Yes. But I don't know.
But we're likely going to get the highest density of the two options, or of the four options, is
Right.
what you're saying.
Yes.
So I understand the concern.
So the way this is written, and I looked at it again after Councilmember Call and I talked on the phone this morning, the way it's written is that they can actually pick any one of those things to satisfy the residential component. They can cluster the units, they can have the two different types of housing, or they can have live work units. So it doesn't have to meet, and it may be that we need to clarify the language. It doesn't have to meet all of those things in order to count as residential. Those are just the things that they can pick from. If we want to make a specific combination, we can change the language to say, if you're going to have, two housing types, one of them has to be single family, or one of them has to be X. So we can change the language if that's a concern. of the council that somebody's going to come in and do townhomes and apartments. If you want to make sure that some single family detached gets in there, then we can write some tighter language in to make sure of that.
You know, to me, that's a tough one because usually those areas you're trying to squeeze maybe a single family home in an area that is probably meant for higher density. The idea behind that, I think, too, from the very beginning was just to give that diversity that we're looking for. We don't want all the same stuff in the same
Right.
areas. If you take an 80-acre piece and they came in and, you know, dumped a whole bunch of the same type of homes in there, just like we heard in our work session, you know, they're going to make the roofs a little bit different. That things are going to need to look a little bit different so that they just doesn't look like the same old. But I think that's a hard thing to do because if you try and put residential or a box type home or a small little home in with apartments and everything, is that going to work? So
Yeah, that's a good thought.
I don't know. I don't know. This is a really difficult thing. I think mixed use was always a difficult one to deal with
Yeah.
from the very beginning. And I don't want to go back with kind of a mixed thoughts about, you know, for them to try and decide too for the planning commission if we're not clear, if that makes sense. So I hope that, you know, if we do table this, that we do think about that. Maybe we can get back to you before their meeting and let you know if there's a good combination that we feel like should fit in there.
Yeah.
You want to give this back to the planning commission?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying that, you know, if we need to give anything back, if there's any changes that need to be made on here. But I'm just saying if we need to probably come up with what we want.
I
in
thought
this
Sherry was
residential
going to make them and then we would look at it again.
I was what?
That you would make changes, but it would come back to us to look
Yeah,
at again.
because I need
not
a-
planning commission.
I would request it be tabled anyways because I need to add the definitions and I need to add the policy statement about nothing west of 1900 and
I think what the mayor's saying is we need to decide, are these areas gonna be higher density and do we want single family homes in those areas? So that
Yeah.
we can give that direction to Sherry, or do we want to see, you know, a greater level of mixed use, or what is it that we wanna try?
If you'd like, next week I could send the council some like mixed use projects in other cities, not just in Utah, but other mixed use projects that I'm aware of, just so you can look at the different housing types. If you'd like some research or just some things to reference when you're looking at how you want to, if you want to do some kind of combination on residential units, I'm happy to send you guys some information.
That'd help me, I think.
I think that's a great idea too.
So you were saying at the beginning under this residential that those 3 items, like 1, 2, and 3, you're saying they pick from 2 of those? Is that what you think that means?
No, they just have to pick something from that in order to satisfy the residential component.
One what?
Just one of these because it's coming in as a mix of at least 2 different types of housing. That's the first one, so it gives you the choices. So I think it's a pick of one, not 2 of them.
You could do the mix of 2 housing types, or you could do live work units, or you can cluster. And if that's not clear, I can reword the language at the top. I can reword the language in any section to make that clear. Sometimes things that are clear in my head are not clear to other people.
When you say, like, for example, the live work, that's like the commercial on the bottom, apartments on the top type situation.
Yeah.
So they're coming down to work from where they live.
Yeah, there's different ways that you can lay them out, but essentially, yeah.
Like kind of like Clearfield has set up in their area.
Okay. One more thing before we table it so we can include all of these things.
You're good.
157.314, the site development standards. Number B, which I asked Sherry about also, but did you find it? Mixed use developments in which single family detached lots are adjacent to 4 or more homes in the A1, R1, or R2 shall require buffering. I don't agree with the 4. I feel like if there's one house they deserve that buffering. Why do we have to have 4 I don't have the right word for that. Do you
To make it-
understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like if I have my house, why didn't I get buffering because I'm only one house?
If we're limiting this to east to 1900 west, is that an issue?
I don't know enough over there to know that.
I mean, I understand the consideration over on 2900 west and that, but if we're going to limit it to, or 2900 south and that, but if we're limiting it to 1900 west, that removes a lot of the A1, R2 on our A1, R1 and R2 zones. We don't have anything.
There are
east,
single family homes right on 21st Street,
but we're not zoned that way for future development.
but behind them,
Yeah,
they could be.
true.
I mean, it does make sense. But it's something that you want to, the territory that we're looking at is true. It may not affect it as much, but if we did have it, I guess it's in the, it's in there. If something came up that way.
That's my preference.
Is there some thoughts you had with that, Sherry?
With the buffering, I think the ordinance that I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. We have buffering requirements right now.
Okay.
That we've put in with the subdivision that was approved to go behind Canesville, to go east of Canesville Elementary. They had to buffer because they're up against, I think it's A2 or A1. So they've got that larger line of lots and there's no houses on that property. So I don't have strong feelings one way or the other on it.
Okay. So the recommendation is just to remove adjacent to, take the 4 or more, just adjacent
yeah.
to homes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, just adjacent to those
Is
properties.
the council okay with that, if you want to make that change, or do you want to leave it the way it is?
I think so, because generally you're building something a little bit taller and being up next to, maybe a single family home is
Okay.
a little bit intrusive.
Did you get that change on there, Sherry?
I mean, I don't know that it even needs to say homes. It could just say adjacent to the A1, R1, and R2, which is what I think it says in all the other zones.
Right.
Just adjacent to those zones.
Okay.
That's what I would prefer.
Okay. Anything else?
No, we can wait after that.
All right, I'm ready for a motion on item C.
I will make a motion to table ordinance 13-2023, amending the standards for mixed use / medium / low density residential commercial zone.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call on this. Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and we'll thank you for your work on that. Appreciate it. We'll look forward to the next one.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll move on to item 8. This is for a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public input on an ordinance established a fee for failed building inspections and setting a fine for violation of occupancy standards. So at this point, Matt, did you want to maybe just fill in the blanks on this a little bit until see if we have any public comment?
Yeah, actually, I'll defer to Sherry again.
Okay.
She's on a roll. For the fee for failed building inspections.
Was there just any input you had on that before we go into public?
This is something that's a combination of a request by frustrated building inspectors to disincentivize or to incentivize actually having everything ready and having everything taken care of with building inspections. The reason that there's a separate fee for 4-way inspections is those take significantly longer than any other building inspection. And then we have had an issue in the past multiple times with builders allowing whether it's a rental unit or somebody purchasing or something like that, they have allowed occupancy prior to the inspectors doing the final inspection. So the inspector goes to do it and there's padlock on the door and they can't get in.
I'm asking, that's wrong, right? You're not supposed to get in
Yes.
before you inspect.
You are not supposed to do that, but up until this point, we haven't really had anything that disincentivizes that, for lack of a better term, bad behavior.
I like disincentivize instead of penalize.
Yeah.
It's a little
Or we're
softer.
trying to encourage appropriate behavior, appropriate building practices. And so this is a combination of frustrated building inspectors and a desire to make sure that our builders are doing what they're supposed to and that they're ready for inspections when our inspectors get there and that they're taking care of items that they miss.
Perfect,
And-
thank you.
And then that little thing about occupying a structure before a C of O is issued, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move into a motion to go into public hearing on this.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we can just do a regular vote on this. So, let's see. So on here, what we ended up with, we've got all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We've got that. So if there's any public out there that would like to come up and talk about this, I don't see any out there, but we'll move forward. If we don't see any out there, we'll go ahead and close it. So I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're all good to go. So we'll move on to item number 9, action on public hearing, adoption of ordinance 14-2023 for establishing a fee for failed building inspections and setting a fine for violation of occupancy standards. Any comment from the council? Okay, I'm ready for a motion for that.
I will move to approve ordinance 14-2023 establishing a fee for failed building inspections and setting a fine for violation of occupancy standards.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
and Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So thank you for that. I know that was a big deal for a little while with people, so I'm glad we got that taken care of. Item number 10 on here, action on resolution 25-2023, agreement between West Haven City and Nielsen Land Development, LLC, regarding the Poulter Family Open Space Preserve Monument. We got a copy of that in our, a little late in our
Yeah.
packet, but we got it. Did everybody get a chance to look at that?
I didn't really have a chance to look at that. Is that the one that we got today?
Do you want to? I have it if you want to.
The exhibit, and if it's okay, Mayor, I'd like to just share, while I attach the exhibit, we do have from the sign provider a more realistic shot of that.
Oh, sure.
And would you mind
Karen's got
sharing mine?
Picture of it too. Thanks.
Yeah,
She's
and
got-
it's still not. Let's see.
Oops, that was me.
There we go. So this is from our monument sign provider that we use for the different parks. We talked with Nielsen Homes. Their first option wasn't quite up to what city staff wanted to have over there. We wanted to make it more consistent. There was a little bit of time getting this pricing back and then getting this exhibit ready, and we apologize that the exhibit wasn't ready. So this is just kind of a quick mock-up. It's going to be a little bit bigger for the 30 by 30 sign to fit, but it will be more consistent with kind of the our Kenneth Baldwin country park sign that we have, and the other ones we have Staker Farms and others that are being installed this month for our other parks. And so we feel that it will be a nice consistent look. Nielsen Homes has agreed to pick up the full cost on that. And so so there's no questions on that. We did ask them that the actual metal sign that'll be affixed to this will be more of a kind of a, what is it, a forged look where the letters are raised rather than just a laser etch or something like that. They could get scratched up pretty easily. And so they're willing to do that and put that into effect. So with the change and that standardization on this, with that exhibit, we feel comfortable in recommending that to the council so we can approve, get that battened down, and proceed with the monument once the park's reaching finalization.
And the Poulter family is in agreement. Excuse me. The Poulter family agrees as well.
They didn't have a say on the document
okay.
about what it was. It was the city and the developer would.
They just wanted the wording, which we did
But they've
last
got the
time.
words. Okay.
The word is set up per the previous agreement.
Okay.
You just mentioned a size for the plaque.
So the plaque was 30 inches by 30 inches.
It's not in here anywhere. Does that matter?
It
It doesn't say it's 30 by 30.
on the exhibit.
I thought it was in the email.
On that exhibit, it's the previous exhibit showed it as that 30 inches by 30 inches. They didn't include that as they transposed it on that rock. If you'd like me to make sure that is specified tomorrow before we have it signed, we can do that. It was in the original one that the sign was 30 by 30 in the exhibit.
Okay. If you can add that, that'd be great.
I'd be happy to get that done.
Okay, is that, in the proposed area, is there a road? Is this the road up here?
So there's, the road's along the top that's going in, and the parking will be right there. So as people pull in and park, they'll be able to see that monument.
What road is that?
It's a new road that goes east from Green Farms currently,
Okay.
and will hook into the other development on the other side of the canal. So
I just didn't know what road it was going in there.
I can't remember the numbering of it. So it's going to be about 3,700 south or something like that.
Okay.
It's that, it connects to that Nelson Homes development that's in your neighborhood.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it was, okay. All right. Any other questions on this? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve action on Resolution 25-2023, agreement between West Haven City and Nielsen Land Development LLC regarding the Poulter Family Open Space Preserve Monument.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this monument? Okay, we'll move forward with roll call. Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
And Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Okay, action carries, so looking forward to get that completed and done. That'll be nice. Item number 11, action on resolution 20-2023 for establishing Juneteenth as a city observed holiday. Matt, did you want to?
Yeah, this is, as most of you know, Juneteenth was established as a federal holiday 2 years ago. The state adopted it for last year's, and most municipalities have followed in suit with that, and we're catching up with that and asking the council to recognize Juneteenth as an official holiday to be observed by the city.
So is it always on the 19th of June?
It's the language of it is if it happens like on the weekend, then it's observed
The same way Christmas or anything else is?
last year the 19th I think was on a Sunday, so they observed it on the 20th. But
This year
yes.
it will be on Monday.
How does the city function when we're not open on Friday and it happens on certain days? How does that work?
Right now, well, our new handbook policy would make it so that becomes a floating holiday for some other time. We wouldn't shut down the city entirely if it happened on a Friday.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on that or questions?
No, I think that's the right thing to do, so glad this has been brought to the council.
I'm ready for a motion.
Move to adopt resolution 25-2023, establishing
It's
June.
26.
I'm sorry, what?
26.
I can't read this.
2023.
The font's too small. Let someone else do it.
Okay.
All right, I move that we approve Resolution 26-2023 to establish Juneteenth as a city-observed holiday.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to item number 12, discussion on personnel policy.
So, we wanted to open up a discussion, and our work session was a little bit full. We wanted to add discussion for the personnel policy. It was tabled a little bit during the budget discussions. As we've made it through there, we'd like to open that up for the council's consideration and moving forward. Last time we had a discussion, we talked about reviewing the first 5 chapters on that, seeing if there was any issues, and so we can move forward on consideration and adoption of the personnel policy.
So Matt, are you asking us to get it all read, or are we going to break it up again, or
Well, that's
what is best?
kind of the direction on, if there's a chance to have any input tonight, if there is a direction on how to chop it up, if it's to be on the next few work sessions, be happy to consider anything on whichever way that the council would like to approach it.
If we can break it up and cover it in the work sessions, I think that'd be best.
Did you want to do 1 through 5 tonight?
If the council's ready to do so.
What would the council like to do? You want to work through it tonight?
I don't know.
Take it easy. Take it easy. I have quite a few questions and stuff on here, so I can turn it in, or for review, or we can talk about it.
Maybe
That if we redline them and make sure we understand, because it's too big of a document to read through and try and find all the changes it's made.
like if you have changes, you send it in, and it could be kind of listed where they're at, and
Listed by listed by section.
yeah, and that way everybody can kind of discuss what everybody's thoughts are real quick,
I
and
think that's the most organized way to do it.
kind of hit the topics, and then if everybody's satisfied, then we move on to the next 5 or however many there are. I don't know how many there are total, but for the next work session. But we would need to maybe have a deadline when somebody could put that together before the work session. So that'd be, I don't know who would do that.
Matt.
That would be our city manager.
That would be me. So if we
something-
wanted to make a deadline for notifications, we can definitely put that in the packets for the meeting on the next one.
What I'm saying is, I guess you would need to tell us when we need to have everything, like our things that we're concerned about to you by.
To include it in the packet, I would say the Wednesday before. So it'd be, give you a week to look through the next 5, send me back your comments, and then I can consolidate them on Thursday and get them included in the packet.
I think that's fine as long as it actually happens. I think we've talked about this a few times. Here's the ones to review, and it hasn't been reviewed. So this took a long time.
It did take a long time.
Let's get it approved. So if everybody's committed to do that, then fantastic.
Well, if we don't do it this time, then we can't have a say, right?
Yeah, I think that's
It's been up for discussion before, so that's all I'm saying.
Okay, is that what you want to do as a council then? You want to turn that in and get everything over to Matt?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. All right, we'll move on that. Matt, will you give us a date when you feel like you need to have that to get it prepared?
If I can have the information on the first 5 chapters, sections by June 14th, I will have it prepared by the end of day June 15th, so I can send it out in the packet.
Okay.
And if you'd like me to resend a Word document, so if you want to redline it, if that would be helpful, or if you just want to put bullet points in an email or Word document, however you'd like to proceed on that.
Yeah, mine's ready. I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
Soon, but okay, very good. All right, we'll move on to the next item on here, 13. This is for discussion review of R2 and R2.5 residential zones. This was Carrie. Did you want to help us with this one?
Yeah, I brought this up to bring to the council to see your feeling about it. I just feel like in our city we have allowed a lot of smaller housing. We have plenty of space, and there still is a market for larger homes, but R1 starts at a minimum of 20,000. R2 moves to 12.5. And I feel like that's a big gap. Why are we going so drastically from R1 to R2? Why can't that be like 15,000 and then 12 or 10 or whatever? So I wanted to see how you all felt about that, if that's something to take to the Planning Commission and have that a possibility. But I was just feeling like we have one zone for half acres and the rest are much smaller.
So you're looking.
So 12.5 would be quarter acres, right? Is that about?
Yeah.
So move it to a third of an acre with 15?
I don't know. I just felt like it should be bigger. I don't know why we jumped from 20 to 12. That's all.
I'm fine with looking at that.
What did you say?
I'm fine with that.
Oh,
Okay. Any other thoughts on it?
I'm fine as well.
Okay. Yes.
Same.
Okay.
Yep, that's fine.
Yes, I guess we have some marching orders from the council. Carrie, I'll just re-explain that.
I just have if I can ask a couple questions about it, like what's the, is there a direction? Cause I mean, if we're going to say, look at it, is there like an end goal, like an eye towards something? Cause I understand the concern about the minimum lot size jumping. There is also a density cap at 2 units an acre. So for everyone that's, 12,500 square feet, you have to have one that's 31,060 feet. And I know they don't come in exactly at that. So I understand the concern. It's not just minimum lot size. There's also the density cap on it, because 12.5 is actually closer to 3.5 units an acre. And so which you can't get because you have the cap of 2 units an acre. So no problem looking at it. I guess I need a little bit more specific direction on what the goal is. If the goal is to come up with another zone that's a midpoint, is it just to increase the minimum lot size in R2? If you want me to put together some information on like what the size of lots we currently have in R2 is compared to what the minimum is, and just adjust it to what we're actually getting. I guess
I want to see the lot size bigger. I mean, even if there have to be 12.5 and you have 2 per acre, when those end up getting clustered, it ends up being small.
Okay.
In an area.
Yeah.
So I want to see the lot size larger.
You want to see the minimum lot size increase even if the 2 units an acre stays the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that good with the council?
Yeah.
Everybody good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
it,
you.
I guess.
I was like, I just need a little bit I need a starting point. So thank you for giving me that.
Can I ask a question though? I think that we went with 43,000 as an acre instead of 40,000.
Right.
Should we up our one to be more than 20,000? Because that's 40,000 is half, but this is 20,000, which is half of
little
40,
less.
but not half of 43.
Right.
Right. We did standardize the definition of an acre.
We did.
20,000 square feet is actually 0.46 acres. So it's just under half an acre. There's also other ways to look at density and things like that. Sometimes it's based on like the gross project property size. Like if you have 50 acres, you can have 100 units on it. Other times it's like you have to take out, 6 acres or whatever the total of the rights of way are. And so if you have 50 acres and you make them take out the amount of the roads and the open space and you're left with say 42 acres, then you get 84 units versus 100. And there's different ways to approach it. That might involve other projects, but if for now the goal is to increase the minimum lot size in R2, that's some good direction for me to go with.
Can that be added to their agenda, like their regular agenda, just as a discussion item? Like, here's what we're considering, and I'll bring back some information so that process can start sooner than later. It doesn't have to be all written out, but just here's the idea.
Yeah, I can add it to their agenda or even to their work session just to discuss for a few minutes at the end of it.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to our next item on here, item 14 for executive session. The council will enter into a closed meeting for the purpose of strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation to be held in accordance with the provisions of Utah Code 552-4-205. And so I'll need a motion for us to move into that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move into that session now. Do we need to, are we moving in the other room or are we staying here?
Yeah, we should move in.
Okay.
Yeah, this is for you and a plus.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are back from our executive session. The council will enter into a closed meeting for the purpose of a strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation to be held in accordance with the provisions of Utah Code 52-2-205. And in that meeting, we conducted business and got that taken care of. We need to have a motion to move back into this public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We move on to item 15 for adjournment. Ready
Move
for
to
a
adjourn.
motion?
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, this is close of our meeting. Thank you.